All right. So once again, Shabbat Shalom. And it's very good to be together. Let's just take a moment to breathe and to make some space inside ourselves for Shabbat peace, Shabbat rest, whatever it is that we need from this Shabbat. So we're going to get started. In the prayer book, we are on page 126. 126, that's in the blue numbers that are bracketed. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach outward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. Love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. Page 120 and 121 is the candle things. Is there somebody who would have that honor today of the blessing over the candles?
I'll do it, Rabbi.
Oh, Judith will.
Unless
Okay.
there's someone in the sanctuary who'd like to do it live.
Why don't you go ahead, Judith?
Okay.
Not okay,
Not okay?
but it is okay. It was Helene.
She was being facetious. Okay.
She was yanking my chain.
Okay. Very good. They're lit. Mine are lit. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen.
Amen.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the lights of Shabbat.
And thank you. Thank you, Judith.
You're welcome.
The Kiddush is on page 123. Is there somebody who would like to read the Kiddush for us in English? Helene.
Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who finding favor with us, sanctifies us with mitzvot. In love and favor, you made the holy Shabbat our heritage, as a reminder of the work of creation, as first among our sacred days, calls the Exodus from Egypt. You chose us and set us apart from the peoples. In love and favor, you have given us your holy Shabbat as an inheritance. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
If you're able, I invite you to rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahav ratzon inchilanu zikaron le'maasei bereshit ki yom tehillah lemikai kodesh zeichel liat mitzrayim ki vavachata v'atanu kidashta mikol Shabbat Kodshecha Be'ava V'ratzon Hinalatano Baruch atah Adonai Be'adesh Shabbat
You may be seated. Look at the window. That's beautiful. Look right there. I was just pointing out to Helene that the stained glass window that's at the back of the sanctuary is glowing bright orange with the sunset, and it looks very beautiful. I don't know if you probably can't see it from sitting in the sanctuary. If anybody wants to come up to the bima and take a look, please feel free.
It is beautiful.
Oh, I don't have in my order of service. Are we continuing with
Lechuna Ranana?
Lechuna Ranana?
Yeah.
Lechuna Ranana is on page 130.
Lechuna Ranana. Let us sing out to God, the maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Let
We turn to page 128 for Shabbat Hamalka, the Shabbat Queen.
The sun on the treetops no longer is seen. Come hither to welcome the Sabbath, our Queen. Behold her descending, the holy, the blessed, and with her the angels of peace and of rest. Draw near, and hear abide. Draw near, O Sabbath bride. Peace also to you, you angels of peace.
We turn now to page 263 for the Chatzikash.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
ועלמא דברך ירותי, המליך מלכותי, בחיינו ויום מכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמרבה מברך לעולם יתברך, ישתבח, יתרום, יתרומה, ויתנשא, ויתהדר, ויתעלה, ויתהלל, שמי קודשו. לעילם כל ברכתה ושירתה. תושבחת ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמא, ויאמרו אמן.
Baruchu is on page 264. I invite you, if you're able, to rise.
Baruchu et Adonai ha'ivorach Baruch Adonai ha'mevorach le'olam va'ed. ha'mevorach le'olam va'ed.
On page 265, I invite you to read with me in English. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you and endow our fleeting days with abiding mirth. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv ravim. Page 266. Let's read responsively. In each age, we receive and admit Torah. At each moment, we are addressed by the world. In each age, we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment, we stand face to face with truth. In each age, we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment, the knowing heart is filled with wonder. In each age, the children of Torah become its bearers and seek to set the world on a foundation of truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. The Shema is on page 267.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
You may be seated.
Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושננתם לבניך, ודיברתם בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך וברכבך ובקומך, שתם לאות עליך, היו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו עשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים אלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני Elohim.
Adonai Elohechem emet. On page 216, I invite you to read responsibly with me. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all. That oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound. Before our eyes, there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul. When will redemption come? When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves. Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High. We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this hour that makes for freedom.
Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 mi moch bay Adonai mi kamoch nei davakot norati lot ose Bele norati hilot osefele Malechutecha uvanecha Voki hayam li Moshe u'Miriam zehili Anu ve'yomeru zehili Anu Adonai Malach Olam Avad Adonai Malach Le'olam Avad.
V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov lo miyad hazak mimenu baruch ha'Adonai al Yisrael. Hashkivenu is on page 271.
Ashkivenu noi Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim Ufros aleinu sukkot mecha V'hoshienu leman shemecha. Help us to know that you're near, that your presence is here. Let us lie down in peace every night. And when we rise in the day, keep us sheltered, we pray. Lead us, God, with your love, your light. Baruch atah Adonai, Haporei sukat shalom, aleinu al kol amo Yisrael. Haveinu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shoreinu lechayim.
Yismechu is on page 272.
Yismechu b'malechutecha shomrei Shabbat v'oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha shomrei Shabbat v'oneg Shabbat. B'kodshei Shavi kulam yizbehu v'yivangu milecha v'hashavi rataba v'kidashta yismechu lechutecha shomrei Shabbat v'oneg Shabbat. Yismechu lechutecha shomrei Shabbat v'oneg Shabbat. Chendat yamim otarata otogarata ze'elemasi v'reiti yismechu b'malechutecha shomrei Shabbat v'oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha shomrei Shabbat v'oneg Shabbat.
The tefillah begins on page 273. If you're able, I invite you to rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftachu v'yagilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohe Avotinu v'Emoteinu Elohe Avraham Elohe Yitzchak v'Elohe Yaakov Elohe Sarah Elohe Rivka Elohe Rachel v'Elohe Leah Ha'el HaKol HaGibor v'Hanora El Elyon, Melech Hasadim בקונה הכל, וזוכר אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמעו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור עולם אדוני, בחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוליד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, תומך נופלים וחולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקבלים אמונתו, שני יחמו בעל גבורות, ומדם אליו מלך מית ומחיי, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמתה להחיות על אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום הללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. Page 277. You set aside the seventh day for your name, the pinnacle of creation, and you blessed it above all other days, more sacred than all festival times. So it is written in your Torah. I invite you to join me. The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God had completed the work that had been done, ceasing then on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, ceased from all the creative work that God had chosen to do. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai, our God, grant our heritage, your holy Shabbat, that Israel, who sanctifies your name, may rest on it. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 279.
Ritzi Adonai Eloheinu be'amacha Yisrael, utfilatam be'ahava tekabel util ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha, util ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha. El karov lechol korav beinei el avadecha v'chaneinu shevo ruchacha aleinu aleinu v'techizenu imenu
We have come to Modim, our blessing of gratitude, and it's our custom to spend a little time at this moment in the service thinking about what we might be feeling grateful for today or this week, and sharing that. So every day is a great day for gratitude. Shabbat is an especially great day for gratitude. Here on Zoom, you can put things that you're grateful for in the chat, but also everyone, Zoom or in person, can say things out loud. So who's feeling grateful for something today? Mona. Wow. Mona is grateful for a wonderful 2 weeks with her family from California and her grandson's bar mitzvah last weekend, and it has been exhausting but wonderful. Karen is grateful for family and friends and for the services. Lori is grateful for recovered family and their love. Linda Horowitz is grateful for good health, her daughter Faith, friends and family services, and Zoom. Somebody had their hand up and then put it down. Okay. Anybody else? Gratitude? Ma?
I am grateful to see so many people either on Zoom and especially Dr. Roberts, Teixeira. I'm grateful to see a lot of people on the services and in person. Thank you. And I just want to say that last week was beautiful and we really enjoyed it and we had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Eslen is thankful tonight for the wonderful songs. The songs are not just songs, but a voice, the curtains of unknown ableness, reaching my mind and my heart. Thank you, Noni, for such wonderful singing. Amen. Anybody else? Okay. Is there someone else on Zoom? Oh, Robert.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Whenever people say, "Oh, I'm so grateful for the service," I sometimes wonder, "Oh, come on. You have to be grateful for something else." But tonight, I am so grateful for this service, and I'm so grateful to see familiar faces and hear familiar voices. It really is a very beautiful thing. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Amen. And I'm in Frima in being grateful to see you, Robert, as well as everybody else who's here. Page 281. For all these things, O Sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch Adonai, Hatov Shimcha Lecha Na'el Lehodot. We continue with Shalom Rav, our prayer for peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Baruch atah Adonai hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We have come now to our quiet prayer. There are words on pages 283 to 285 in the prayer book. There are words on the screen if you can see the screen, but this is Tfilat Halev, the prayer of the heart. So we always use the words that are in our own hearts. We continue quietly.
And the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, be acceptable to you. Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Adonai, my rock and redeemer. Amen.
We turn our thoughts now to those among us and those in our hearts who are ill and who are in need of healing of body, of mind, or of spirit. Misha Berach is on page 371. And if you're on Zoom and you have names to add for healing, I invite you to put them in the chat. But everyone will also have an opportunity to add names out loud. We hold in our thoughts and in our hearts for healing this evening Ira Weiss, Allison Plummer, Rabbi Dara Lerner, Susan Sisler, Joellen Fox, Valerie Pace, Rich Landberg, Sarah Liff, Kenny Schweiger, Paul Gold, Joan Lifshitz, Amy Juskowitz-Sundler, Deanna Roth, Jonathan Falkowski, Martha and Ed Vincent, Ingrid Grotto, Audrey Cohen, Eddie DeAngelis, Vicky Lightnaker, Nettie Trommer, Mia Gannon, Jeff Abel, Monica Bayer, Erwin and Patty Cohen, Jeffrey Schwimmer, Grace Schneider, Helen Schechter, Larry Dash, Marie Dash, Carolyn Dash, Jean Guskin, Martha Lowe, Courtney and Amy Thomas, Alma Vizcarrando, Rhiannon Berenbaum, Rob Bass, June Friedman, Lisa Gerson, Ruth Penn, Adonis Malmakis, Harold Dembo, Kennedy O'Brien, Billy Macri, Ira Singer, Carol Singer, Liz Yasuda, Mark Paul Steiner, Celia Karp, Marie Rogan, Marion Mandel, Sharon Zinn, Nicole Moskowitz, Stephen Belay, Mike Wenzelberg, Sonia Schenker, Zita Novick, Norman Taylor, Paul Spoonseller, Stacy and David Mauser, Hannah Paines, Amy Balin, Arlene Kakulis, Judith Weiss, Joy Ojan, Merle Paisley, Margaret Cummings, Lydia Getz, Dr. Helen Creamer, Helen Samuels, Mary Lofstedt, Judith and Matthew Coors, Ernest Tornicasa, Renee Bash, Augustine Davis, Damian Colon, Jerome Taylor, Ed Robinson, Joanna Marie, Teresa O'Sullivan, Jimmy Jenkins, Chanel Kamabach, Juliette Dale, Maureen Dale, Elena RM, Warren Felice, Sylvia Silva, DeAndre Wynn, Jennifer Magoob, Sarah West, Tamia Bethia Williams. Prima?
Martin Bennett, Deborah Kelly, Phyllis O'Neill, Kathy's brother Gabby, Stacy Schnoyer, Elliot Drucker, Eric Platt, Mickey Platt, Diana Gonzalez, Richard Kurlander, Mrs. Margaret, and Vincent Narone. Thank you.
Linda Kushner Silverman.
Jackson Tara Kushner, Shelley Samet. She's now in hospice in her home. God should protect her. David Gershon, Israel Yashami, Carol and Stevie Doppelt, Ruth Gordon, Sherry Jacobs. Thank you.
Pat Flood, Cindy Rabinowitz, Matthew Swenson, Mike Manning, Dr. Craig Rosenbaum. If you're in the room, please raise your hand if you have names to add. Helene? Janice? Alan? We include also all of those who have been wounded in service to our country or Israel, those who have been harmed by the fires in Canada, whether they've been harmed in Canada or by the air quality even here because of those fires. We include those who have been hurt or lost family members in the earthquake in Turkey, in war and conflict around the world, including in Ukraine and Afghanistan and Somalia. We include those who have been harmed in terrorism, including in Israel. and also those who have been harmed in human-created disasters like gun violence. Benny and Shay Goldstein, Brenda Every, Brenda Davis. Page 371 in the middle of the page.
מי שברך אבותינו, מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength bless the ones before us. Let us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. מי שברך אמותינו, מקור הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing, רפואה שלמה. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. 2 weeks ago in Parshat Shalach, we read that the Israelites were doomed to 40 years in the wilderness before they could enter the promised land. All but 2 members of the generation that were adults leaving Egypt in the Exodus would die in the wilderness, leaving the conquest of the land to the next generation. This week's Torah portion, the double portion of Hukat and Balak, jumps forward 38 years. The 40 years in the wilderness are almost over. Most of the older generation has died, and the next generation are adults. Nevertheless, there are familiar refrains in this Torah portion. Twice in Chukat alone, the Israelites complain bitterly to Moses, and we've heard this kind of talk before. They say, "If only we had perished when our brothers perished at the instance of the Eternal. Why have you brought the Eternal's congregation into this wilderness for us and our beasts to die here? Why did you make us leave Egypt to bring us to this wretched place, a place with no grain or figs or vines or pomegranates? There is not even water to drink." Now, this is after Miriam dies. And God does not seem to get angry this time about this complaining, and there is no punishment. God simply tells Moses to speak to the rock to get water. Moses, however, strikes the rock, and God reacts to that more than to the people's complaining. God tells Moses that because of this, he's no longer the right leader for the people and will not take them into the land. The next complaint by the people is, "Why did you make us leave Egypt to die in the wilderness? There is no bread and no water, and we have come to loathe this miserable food." That's the manna. It's a miracle. They're sick of it. The result is that God sends poisonous snakes to bite them, and many die. The people repent for what they've said, and God both takes away the snakes and makes a mechanism to cure those who have been bitten and haven't yet died. God has Moses create a bronze snake and put it on top of a staff for them to look at. And when they look at it, they recover from the snake bite. The next generation was supposed to be different, wasn't it? Why are they still complaining the same complaints that their parents' generation did? They seem pretty dysfunctional. This is a broken culture that needs to be fixed. One of the principles of leadership theory is the idea that a culture or organization is broken is a myth. According to Marty Linsky, Ronald Heifetz, and Alexander Grashow, the reality is that any social system, including an organization or a country or a family, is the way it is because the people in that system, at least those individuals and factions with the most leverage, want it to be that way. In that sense, on the whole, on balance, the system is working fine, even though it may appear to be dysfunctional in some respects to some members and outside observers, and even if it faces danger just over the horizon. To put it another way, even misery can become comfortable. Negative behavior can become habit, habitual, starting with the generation that left Egypt a pattern, a social system developed. As part of that system, whenever the people are uncomfortable or afraid, hungry or thirsty, they gather and yell at Moses. That's their ritual. As a result, they generally get what they need or want, and often that's water or other kind of food. They also get negative consequences, a plague, fire, or snakes. People die. The cycle continues. That's the system. And as strange as it may sound to us, it's the system they want, even if they don't think they do. They are perpetuating it, and though there are consequences, it is in some way working for them, even if that way is only that it's what they're used to and the results are somewhat predictable. They don't seem to be aware of any other possibility. The Israelites in the wilderness are not in a dysfunctional relationship with God and Moses. It is functioning, and those who are in it want it to function the way that it is, whether they know it or not. Ultimately, the relationship succeeds. They get it done. They arrive again at the promised land, and this time they will be able to enter it. By the time of our Torah portion, God's response to the Israelites' refrain of complaint seems to have shifted. Anger no longer seems to be part of God's response. The only ones who get angry are human, the people. The Israelites are angry, and again, probably afraid, and Moses gets angry. Even when God sends the poisonous snakes, there's no mention of God's anger. So we do see the habits in the relationship shift a little bit. 3 years ago in March, our habits were forcibly shifted when we went into lockdown because of COVID. As we tried to figure out how to be safe, what the new rules were, we changed ways of doing many things. We stayed home all the time. We adopted technology to be in touch with people. Some of us wore pajama pants all the time. There was a lot of talk about the new normal and what that would be. Gradually, we adapted, and new behaviors became habits. While Zoom initially felt strange, impersonal, and distancing, for many, Zoom has become very comfortable, even preferable to having to leave the house, take public transportation, or find a parking spot, and, put on shoes. Is this a bad habit? I would not say it's a bad habit. But by automatically defaulting to Zoom for all of our meetings, for example, we are losing out on something. We are losing out on the hallway talk, which is the time when people really get to check in with one another and see and get to know one another better. We can't have that on Zoom because only one conversation can happen at a time on Zoom. So we really don't have that. And then when we're done, we say goodbye and I click end meeting for all and poof, everybody's gone. So maybe it's time to think a little bit about what are the habits that we have created during the pandemic? What are the habits that we've gotten used to? And do we want those habits? Do we like everything about those habits? Or is it time to shift again? Maybe not completely. Zoom is not going to go away because we also know that people can be upstate, people can be in California, and people who really can't leave the house People can be in Philadelphia. And people who really can't leave the house are able to join us on Zoom, and that is invaluable. But there are things that we miss. And so for those who can come, maybe it's time to think about coming sometimes. This is not a guilt trip at all. And if you feel it's too much, that's completely fine. I am only suggesting that we think out how our lives, what are the habits that we've settled into over the last 3 years that maybe it's time to take another look at and think about whether we're getting everything that we want to out of our lives. So may we have insight, maybe find the ways to get as much as we can out of Zoom, but also out of being in person. And may God be with us wherever we may be. Amen. Are we going straight to Alinu? Short? Okay. We are turning now to the Alenu. Let me find, there it is. The Alenu begins on page 586 at the top of the page. I invite you, if you're able, to rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגבהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני מלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
You may be seated. We turn our thoughts now to those who are no longer with us, our loved ones who have died in the past days or weeks or months, or in past years at this time of the year. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 598, and if you are on Zoom and have names to add for the Mourner's Kaddish, you may put them in the chat, and also everyone will have an opportunity to add names out loud. The yahrzeit list is on the screen. Those of you here in person have that in your green bulletin. We remember those who have died in the past year. Deborah Kosman, Leslie Hirsch, Samuel Capsuto, Fred Siegel, Jeremy Briel, Rosalind Baylor, Ilona Schuring, Donna Brines, Marshall Greenman, Ellen Hoyt, Roz Spicer, Lila Fox, Beryl Pelmont Jorgrau, Zelda Klein, Dr. Usha Gorty, Woofsy, Harold Davis, Jerry Prezioso, Charles Dentrone, Murray Schechter, John Honan, Dottie Weiss Tabickman, Harold Shepard Jr., Eva Braxmajer, David Goldbrenner, Madeline Hyatt, Ed Friedman, Ronald Homan, Erwin Bernstein, Shirley Amrani, Harry Goldberg, Lisa Friedman, Eleanor Teplitz, Patricia Christensen, Thea Platt Glasser, Sharon Cooper, William Fritz, Bernard Cohen, Lucy Palazzolo, Blair Ford, Shlomo Nakash, Arlene Scher, Abraham Finkel. Included on our yahrzeit list today are Abe Adler, Fran Silverman's brother, Dorothy Gordon, Nancy Frost's mother, Louis Dan, Paul Dan's father, Morris Dabrowski, Jane Gleiberman's father, Martin Drucker, Nadine Antipol's grandfather, Ruth Merritt, Ann Schwartz's mother, Harry Migdal, Diane Schenker's father, Seymour Resnikoff, Gail Resnikoff's husband, Lillian Frost Ridgely, Nancy Frost's daughter, Harry Schloss, Heather Schwartz's father, Leonard Schneier, Freema Schneier's husband, Pauline Sofian, Gerard Sofian's mother, William Tattenbaum, Jennifer Tattenbaum's father, and Myra Tattenbaum's husband. I also want to mention George Burns, who is on our list. Does anyone want to say anything about him? Yeah, he was a very influential
like
member of Progressive Temple of Borough Park. Who was that?
That was Charlotte.
Charlotte, please go ahead.
I knew George Burns when we first merged. I worked with him on the consolidation committee, and he was an absolute delight to be with. He was very, very interested in religious studies. He gave a number of wonderful lectures. He reached a point that he could no longer give the lectures, but I was able to read some of what he had written, and they were so fascinating to read. He was really a great man. And a really nice guy.
Thank you. Thank you for that. We include also Janet Schwartz, Janet Elliott, Paul Markowitz, George Palavis. Freema.
I want to say John Main, and I want to say Lenny, who is 26 years now that he's gone. And to me, it's like a whole lifetime, but I miss him so much. And also mention Jenny Gill, who was my stepmother. It's very ironic that the yahrzeits are back to back, really. And like, they were so different apart, they didn't even know each other. And I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Thank you, Freema. If you're in the room and you have names to add, please rise or raise your hand. Alan? Alan is calling our attention to Jules Ansis on the yahrzeit list, who was the temple administrator when, in the 1960s, when he and Michael Tornick were teenagers and joined the temple, right? Or were you younger than teenagers when you joined? A little younger. They were children. They were children. Anybody else have names to add? Ruth. Paul Cullen, chorus member of Shir Chadad, died recently. Anybody else?
Rabbi,
Yes, go ahead.
Rhea Cohen was the first woman president of Beth Shalom People's Temple and a very dear friend. I still miss her.
Thank you so much. Yes, Janice. Alan Arkin? Oh, I did not hear that Alan Arkin died.
Today.
Thank you for that. All right. Well, we include also all of those who have died from COVID-19 or from drug overdoses. We include those who have died also from other causes, whether in war, famine, terror, or disaster, or alone and homeless on the streets of our cities. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 598 in the blue numbers. I invite you, if you're able, to rise and join in or to participate according to your own custom. Page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, agada uv'izman kariv v'yemru amen. Shmei Rabbah mivorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Hadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma imru amen. Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'ol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to the bereaved here among us and wherever they may be. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
A few announcements before we conclude. First of all, thank you very much to Judith Weiss and Helene Smith for doing the honors this evening. Tomorrow, we will not have Beyachad, we will have Torah study, Chukat Balak, which is quite a lot of Torah portion to study in 45 minutes, but we're going to do the best we can. That's at 10 o'clock tomorrow. And at 11 o'clock will be Shabbat services on Zoom and in person. I am leading tomorrow, but after services, I will be leaving on vacation and I will be gone for the rest of the month of July and returning in August. So if there is an emergency, a death in your family that you need clergy for, there are local clergy covering for me. You can call the temple office, leave a message on the emergency line, and someone will get back to you with clergy who can help you. Torah study on Thursdays will resume in August. It looks like there is Israeli dance on Thursday, July 6th. Tat Shabbat will resume in August. Services in July, Friday evenings will be on Zoom only, and Saturdays will be in person only. Regular time. Poetry text study will resume in August. The ritual committee is still looking for someone to lead services on the 7th. That is next Friday night. And Diane Figueroa has said she would be willing to do it, but she needs somebody to manage the Zoom to share the prayer book and scroll through the prayer book and share the yahrzeit list. Although you don't really have to do that. Like it's nice to share the yahrzeit list, but if it's too complicated, you could just share the prayer book and scroll through the prayer book as we go through the service. So if you feel able to do that, please contact Fran Silverman. Otherwise, there might not be a service next Friday night, and you'll have to go afield and find some other Friday night service. Okay, the Interfaith Coalition of Brooklyn is holding its second annual 4th of July barbecue on, wait for it, the 4th of July at 2 p.m. at the Amity School. This was a really nice event last year with really good food, so I recommend it. Sally Hipsher is the person to RSVP to. You can bring side dishes and salads. It's probably better if they're vegetarian. And maybe like without cheese too, like probably vegan. Parve is your best bet. Parve, neither milk nor meat, because there will be meat there. So okay. Honey from the Heart is happening. This is our fundraiser for Rosh Hashanah time. So if you want to share the sweetness of high holidays with friends and family, you can order honey for $15. And if you order online by August 1st, you avoid a $7 per jar shipping fee. So go for it. You can go to honey.beshert.org. All confusion has been cleared up about using the link. And that is what I got. August 20th, Brotherhood is taking us all to the Cyclones, well, selling us tickets to go to the Cyclones for Jewish Heritage Night at the Cyclones. Who do we contact about that, Alan? Alan has tickets with him, which doesn't help those of you on Zoom, but those of you here in person can get your tickets right from Alan, or I guess you can contact him. Mail checks to Gene Guskin, who, by the way, had surgery yesterday, and I hear he is home and doing well. Any other announcements? Okay, do we want to close with the song? What song?
We will close on page, is it 681?
I don't know.
With the first verse, because it is July 4th this week, we'll close with the first verse of America the Beautiful.
Ah, the first verse of America the Beautiful. So people on Zoom, I hope you know it.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
V'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. Yitzah Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine on you and be gracious to you. May God lift God's face toward you and give you peace. Amen. And before we go across to the Oneg, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, everybody. If you're coming tomorrow, I'll see you tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll see you in August. Shabbat shalom. Have a great month.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you, Rabbi.
Yeah.
Shabbat shalom. Miss you already.
Oh, thank you.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Robert.
shalom.
shalom.
Robert,
Yes.
I'm gonna call you with the number, okay?
Okay.